If you've watched my channel long enough, then you know my most recommended knife sharpeners are, yes, TS Prof. And they have been for a long time. I even have a video on the top 5 best knife sharpeners with TS Prof as #1. That is why I accepted TS Prof as today's video sponsor. I truly believe in their products. Not only are their systems the highest quality made with the best materials, but the parts are machined and put together with the highest precision. It's like their systems are made by NASA or something. They have tons of parts for upgrades. They recently came out with their very own resin bonded diamond stones. Again, if you've watched my channel long enough, you know my favorite stones are bonded diamond or CBN stones. So if you want the best of the best, then you want TS Prof, linked down in the description. Today I'm going through a few near perfect knives. Now I went through a whole bunch of knives and I was just throwing one after another out. And I'm talking about knives I absolutely love, and would absolutely recommend. But there was just one thing or two things that just took it off the list. Because in this case, I want the clip to work well. Has to have good access to the lock bar, at least comfortable access. Has to have a good sharpening tool and plunge grind. Has to have, you know, a decent heat treat. And you know, it just has to be a very functional, snappy knife, something with a good action. And we're going to start the list off with the Jerry Moen Mongoose. Now, the Jerry Moen Mongoose, personally, I love the look of this with this long spear point blade in M390 steel. Riet is the OEM. Now, this lava flow fat carbon fiber I don't think this version's available anymore, but they have a denim micarta one, a regular carbon fiber one, a purple carbon fiber one. So there are other flavors available. I'll have everything from this video linked down in the description, but it has a titanium, basically a titanium frame lock with an overlay, because these are too thick to be just liners. Now, the action, the flipper tab, I know it's a big flipper tab, so it better work well, and boy does it. It is such a comfortable flipper tab. This is the type of flipping action that grandma could pick up and would never misfire. It just, you have way too much leverage, it's way too comfortable, and just as soon as you break that detent, like it just, especially with how slim the bottleneck construction is here. And that's another thing I love, the handle. The bottleneck construction, I'm not saying it's the most comfortable handle in the world, because it's not, but it works for just about everything. If you want to turn around and cut backwards, if you want to, you know, cut gas station knife fighting grip, if you want to, you know, do utility cuts, this blade shape and handle just work very, very, very well together. The action on the drop, very smooth on ceramic cage bearings. It does not have a cutout right here. I wish it did, but it does give you two chamfers that does make it still a very comfortable disengagement. Then the clip. The clip is what kept it lower on the list. It's a good clip. It works well, but if your pants are super thick, it might be a little bit tight. But I will say, anytime you get a tight clip like that, fold up a piece of paper and put it underneath it for like a week or something, and that'll typically help. Next is a USA-made knife, the Kershaw BELAIR. Now, I do have to say, Kershaw has a few models I could have put on this list, because with their launch series, they have amazing automatic knives, and I highly recommend any one of them. Their launch series, whichever one is your flavor, your style, they're pretty much all really good. Now, this one being the BELAIR is the manual version, and why I picked it is, one, Magna Cut steel for around 150 bucks. Now, that's a very affordable price for a USA-made knife in Magna Cut steel with aluminum handles. However, there is technically a BELAIR for like $127 right now, the Kershaw BELAIR, which is a USA-made knife. It's assisted, that's the downfall, for like $127. I'll link it down in the description if you want to check it out. But the Kershaw BELAIR, aluminum handles, they do have a couple other color options, I think black and then the white one. Deep carry clip that works great. It is reversible using a crossbar lock, and the detent is great. The lockup is nice and solid. Admittedly, I did switch my Omega springs to the Kaiser Omega springs only because I know they're thicker and stronger, but there was no reason. I didn't have to do it. I did it because I thought it made the knife a little bit better, but it was great right out of the box. So awesome, awesome knife. And then also the blade steel. the Magna Cut. I've tested their Magna Cut. I did do a cut test with it, and it did well. It did very well. So, you know, considering that, you know, their heat treatment's pretty, you know, well done. And I did watch them test one on Instagram, I believe, and I believe it tested like at 64. Now, theirs is between 62 and 64. That could have been a fluke. That could have been one that they picked out of the bunch that just so happened to reach the highest of, you know, all their tests. I don't know. But I dig this knife a lot. It's a great size. You can get a full grip. It's slim in the hand. It's slim and compact all the way around. So it's just a great size for EDC. Now, let's get to the next one. The next one is the Giant Mouse Jutland. The Giant Mouse Jutland, I dig this knife so much. I'm not even a trailing point knife guy. Like, I don't like trailing points, but I like this one because one, it kind of cants down and then barely rises up. So this is one I can easily do utility cuts with. It works good for slicing. Granted, it does have belly, so you want to be careful not to slip out of a cut, but I found it very easy to turn my wrist and cut with it very well. This, to me, is a perfect example of a trailing clip point. You can cut down on surfaces really well. The Elmax steel is something that I think Giant Mouse does an okay job with. Now, granted, with some of their other steels, they are hit or miss. Actually, they're not even hit. I'd say a lot of them are misses with the HRC. Italian companies, period, they seem to be doing lower HRC on their steels. But I've noticed that Giant Mouse has not really done a bad job with their Elmax. Yes, I've seen better and worse versions or better and worse heat treats on, depending on the model, but I've yet to have had one that was bad in their Elmax. But, you know, anyways, clip. Deep carry wire clip that is reversible. The wire clips are going to be some of the smoothest clips you can use. This one does have a titanium bank spacer, steel liner lock. This one has the canvas micarta, the green canvas micarta. There is another version in burlap with vanitas steel. So snappy. This thing feels like, when I first felt this, I was almost thinking like, they must have went to a new OEM or something, because this does not feel like Giant Mouse. I mean, the detent is so crispy. It's so smooth, so snappy. They did a hell of a job with this. Now, if you look at my plunge grind, I've sharpened mine 3 times. So, you know, like I said, I want to make sure the plunge grinds are good. So yeah, my plunge grind's getting closer. It's right here. That's the end of it. So start. That's the end, but I still have 3 or 4 sharpenings left before I hit it. So that, to me, is pretty good, considering I've already laid back my edge bevel, and, you know, because you can see I laid back that edge bevel real nice, like so. Anyways, let's get to the next one. Now, the next one is another Giant Mouse. You can almost just put them in the same, you know, same section if you want, because there's going to be preferences for this one over this one, and some people are going to like this one over this one. Now, this is the Giant Mouse extra large Biblio. So the original Biblio was too small for me. I loved it. Granted, I loved it, but this one is the perfect size for that knife. This is what it should have been all along, was this size. Action, again, very similar to the Jutland. Just incredible action. They're using the Elmax steel, which, again, you know, I've been happy with. I did recently sharpen this and sharpen up really, really nice. And what did we sharpen it up on? A TS Prof, of course. The reverse flick action is super good. The sharpen control and plunge grind, look at that. That's how a choil, man, look at that. Look at all that life to sharpen off. I love when I see that. That just shows me that I have a ton of life with my knife. It doesn't matter if it's the reverse or thumb flick, they both work just as well. Good access to the lock bar, similar to the Jutland. Deep carry clip, similar to the Jutland, and it is reversible. And then this one has the brass back spacer, which I think is a nice little touch with this canvas micarta. I love Giant Mouse's micarta. I think they do a really good job. They do some of the best micarta. If you like the micarta that patinas and you know, catches your oils and darkens, Giant Mouse might be the one for you to check out. Next is the Oer F22 KICKSTOP. Now, this is one that's been a little bit since I've talked about it, but as I was going through knives, tossing one out after another, because there would be one thing or another that would be wrong with them. Now, granted, there was a lot of knives I could have made this video out of, like literally probably 100, and I wanted to, but I didn't want to make this video super long, so I did have to choose which one over another. And that's not saying I like one knife over another or anything like that. I just you know, randomly picked which one because they're, you know, as long as they're near perfect. So this one has a titanium handle, but it comes in a lot of different flavors, and I will link them down in the description. There is a ton of options with this. Different color micartas, different color, I mean, there's carbon fibers, different titanium colors. It's just, it's endless. This has a drop point M390 blade. It almost looks kind of like a harpoon, the way that swedges. I think that's a sexy swedge. This is by Riat, once again. Riat does an incredible job with their OEM work, so, and this is no exception. This has the kickstop, like I said, the F22 kickstop, which means the flipper tab is not attached to the blade. So the positioning of the flipper tab for the deployment does not affect it on the open, which most flipper tabs do. If we bring back the BIBLIO, the positioning of this flipper tab means it's right there. Now, if this flipper tab happened to be higher, then that means it'd be lower here. So that would get in the way. A kickstop allows the flipper tab to be nice and high and not affect you on the opening. So what that allows is it to have a ton of leverage into that flipping action. So the F22 kickstops, or the kickstops period, leave for an amazing, amazing braking detent action. The access to the lock bar, yeah, they could have cut it back, but it's nice and comfortable. And I do think that this has a nice, sleek, slender look, which I always appreciate. So very, very smooth on the drop. The titanium mill pocket clip works very well. It does not go all the way up to the top of the spine, but it is pretty close. That is one thing I did not like, but it's not bad in the hand, because if it went all the way up to the top of the spine right here, then yeah, it would be horrifying in the hand, but it's not so bad considering where it's at. Love the shield. You can't even feel it, but you know, it looks great. The titanium liners just, you know, I think this thing pops. I love the look of it. I think it's sleek. I think it's badass, and I think it is near perfect. Next is the Quiet Carry Waypoint Large, specifically the large version. Now there is a thicker, larger version in MagnaCut steel. This one's in Vanex. We'll get to this one. This one's my favorite, by the way. This one's thicker, girthier, beefier blade. This one's the tougher one. It is still titanium liners with G10 scales, deep carry wire clip, near perfect knife, riding on washers and very smooth washers, great access to the lock bar, and they have a perfect sharpen joint plunge grind on this one. Nice deep hollow ground spear point blade. Actually, it's somewhat of a clip point blade. This one, however, the one problem is I wish they would have put the sharpen joint plunge grind on here just like this one. I don't know why they missed that. Now, this one's been sharpened a couple times, so, you know, I haven't hit the plunge grind yet, so it does allow you to get a few sharpenings, but not very many. So it almost didn't make the list. But because I love it so much, like, and I'm talking about like I freaking love this thing, it's so slim. Look at how slim this thing is. 90 thousandths blade stock thickness. Look at the difference between the contoured. So this is the XL, or the large contoured. This is just the large. You can see how thin the blade is on this one. Plus it still has a deep hollow grind. The handle is super thin as well, unlike the thick one. And it has this beautiful texturing on it. Great access to the lock bar. Look how smooth mine has gotten. This is washer action, and it's just gotten ridiculously smooth. Phenomenal thumb stud action. Great lockup. You can see how thin that blade is relative to the lock bar. It almost looks like it's locked up at like 100%, but it's not. It's just, you know, it's a thin lock bar, but that makes, you know, for nice strong engagement. Vanex steel, one of the best steels on the planet for pocket knives, just like, you know, just like MagnaCut. So arguably Vanex is even better than MagnaCut. MagnaCut's tougher. Vanex holds a better edge. So you can look at it like that, but they're pretty close in edge holding ability. Anyways, deep carry wire clip, the best pocket clip in the game. Can't beat it as far as wire clips go. It's on a smooth surface. Now they make the Quiet Carry 9, which I think has the best milled titanium pocket clip on the planet. So I would say you almost can't go wrong with anything from Quiet Carry. I love the drift. The drift, I wish I could find mine. I have no idea what happened. One of you guys must have broken into my house and stole it from me, because I can't find it and it pisses me off. But what a badass knife. This to me is like the ultimate EDC knife. Now, this is too rich for your blood. The SEV Elementum button lock. I know I talk about this all the time, but the reason why is because it has a lot of the similarities that I love with this. That spear point-ish blade. I know this one's more of a clip point, but spear point-ish blade. This one's a spear point. Hollow ground, thin blade. This one's a flat because it's the titanium one, but you can get the micarta one and then buy the titanium scales, and that's what I would recommend. This one happens to be 20 CV, but don't get this one. I don't even think they sell this one anymore. If you want this, get the 14C28M version, and if you want scales, just get the titanium aftermarket scales from Flytanium. Titanium deep carry clip that is reversible, that's smooth as all hell. It is a gravity knife, but my goodness, again, like they work very similar to each other, and that's why I love both of these so much. Like, this is obviously going to be much more affordable than this, but this I think is well worth your money if you get it. I don't think you'll be able to get it out of your pocket. Then we have the We Knife Co. ZIZZIT. Now, the We Knife Co. ZIZZIT is such a badass knife. Such a badass knife. I freaking love this thing. But before we talk about that, just because I don't want to make this video too long, the We Knife Co. EXCITON. These are both We knives. I could have put probably 5 We Knife Co. knives on this list. Absolutely, and I almost did. And you know, you have to pick some. The EXCITON, the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because, one, this is a near perfect knife. They have done so many things perfect on this. The clip works great. That has, you know, amazing ergonomics, perfect sharp control and plunge grind, beautiful geometry, 20 CV blade. And you know, as much as people complain about, you know, being sick of seeing 20 CV, We Knife Co. doesn't do a bad job with it. You know, granted, theirs isn't the best 20 CV on the planet, but I've done edge retention tests on it and it does well. So, you know, at least now, right? Now, meaning in 2024. So the jimping on the spine is really good. The action and detent's phenomenal. And there is one version of this available. This one's not, but there's one version available in DLC. It's like, it's this finish right here. It's the gunmetal finish, just like this. That's what I call it. It's like a polished DLC. But on this knife, it's the whole thing. It looks amazing. I want one so bad, but I already have this one. So, and this does come with a certificate of authenticity. It is a you know, a limited edition knife. So if you want to get in on one of these before they're completely sold out, the best version is available right now. Now, going back to the ZIZZIT. Woo! And don't forget, guys, I have a 15% discount code for We Knife Co., Civivi knives, Sencut knives. 15% discount code is Neeves15. Do not forget that. You see the prices and people freak out like, oh, they're overpriced. Well, you didn't take the damn discount off, so you don't realize it's $60 cheaper or whatever. You know, anyways, the ZIZZIT, very thin, very broad, dual ground, spear point blade that's just oh so beautiful. Our ergonomics, this is slim but thick, or sorry, wide. It is amazing in the hand. The clip is super smooth in and out of the pocket, like almost a perfect milled titanium pocket clip, and it's on top of this surface. So, and it's still ridiculously smooth. You have amazing flipping action. Again, We Knife Co. does the best detents, the best lockup. I do not have one We Knife Co. that has any play with their button locks. I've spine whacked all of them. They know how to do a damn button lock. You know, when people argue about, oh, well, button locks this and button locks that, haven't tried a We Knife Co. button lock, I'll tell you that for damn sure, because their opinion of a button lock would completely change. It's all about geometry, just like anything. I can give you 100 liner lock knives, and 90 of them will fail, and 10 of them you will have to break before it'll fail. It's the lock face geometry. That's all it's about, the lock geometry. And in this case, We Knife Co. has perfected their lock geometry and the detent. Look at these thumb studs, man. Listen to the sound. This is amazing, and it comes in a bunch of different color options, 20 CV, titanium. This one has the green fat carbon fiber, but like I said, there is other options. And yeah, just an absolute badass knife that is damn near perfect, if not perfect. There you guys go. If you guys like this type of content, I'll put some cards up on the screen. Don't forget to check out TS Prof. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.
Peace.